Go around the back. Definitely me being younger, he could tell I was probably a college student, and so he asked like how I plan on paying for it. And so then it was kind of weird. The first things he showed me were some Jeeps, got some pictures of those. Then I didn't seem too interested, just because, I don't know, I mean, I guess I should have seemed more interested, but I was kind of nervous. So he sent me over to actually a Mustang and some other cars. Yeah, and so I tried to be like, oh, these are kind of cute, so he'd like show me some more in that area. And
first he showed me some like middle range vehicles, and then I asked him for some lower end. He took me to like 19,000, and then I said, well, do you have any other lower end? And he said, well, if you're looking at lower end cars, I have a different guy for you to talk to. Bruce deals with lower end cars. So then I said to Bruce, what's a lower end car? And he said, well, that's the wrong word for it. But the first guy that I talked to before I met Bruce kept showing me all these cars that you could sleep inside. Seats pull down, you could sleep in the back of this one too. You could just crash out. And I was like, okay, well, that's cool. Apparently we're crashing out in our car a lot.
Porsche, and that were all over $20,000. And at the end of it, he tried to get my number. He was like, we close at 7, but I'd be more than happy to help you after that. I just need your information. And that's when I left.
It was hard because I was trying to be as vague as possible, and he was really interested. Like, I don't think he could get a proper read on me, so he was trying to like tell what type of person I was. So he was just like asking me all types of questions. He's just like, oh, well, what do you do? And I was like, oh, you know. He's like, so what's your price range? What type of cars have you been looking at? You know. And I was like, oh, I'm just been kind of looking all over the board, you know, and just thought I'd stop by and kind of check it out in first hand, you know. And then he was like, well, what do you do? He took me to like fast cars. He thought, oh, okay, so he kept saying like, oh, you'll really like this car. It like handles really well. It's like fast and sporty. This function, it's really smooth. It's like really smooth. It's got 4-wheel drive and it handles real nice. It's bottom heavy.
Instead of like a big dealership, I wasn't treated with nearly I wouldn't say respect, but like the due diligence that you guys were. I walked in and they both like, nobody came out to greet me, first of all, like every other place. They were both sitting down and I walked in and they were like, hey, and I was like, hey, how you guys doing? And they're like, we're good. And I was like, all right. I'm like, I'm trying to look for a car. They're like, there's cars out there. And I was like, all right. They were almost as cryptic as I was. Like, it was like two people trying to not give any information to each other. It's like two spies in the Cold War talking to each other. It was really interesting.
So this one I dressed very down and scrubbish, and the guy who helped me out was really fatherly. He offered me a ride, but not in a creepy way, not like the other guy. Really concerned. He went straight to the used cars. They were over 130,000 miles. But then he showed me some that were a little better. He kept asking if my parents were helping, and I said, I don't know. And then he talked to me about school and kind of walked towards the entrance of the thing, like, all right, okay, bye. But yeah, that was all for that one.
Alright, so what happened that was different between last time and this time?
Well, I walked in and immediately some lady stood up and was like, "We have a customer." And then she brought me to a different room where a guy was like, "Hey, oh, she's gonna help you right there." So then I walked into another room and then I met this lady who, the same lady that sat down and stared at me last time when I was dressed differently, took me around.
Oh, so it's the same lady. We thought she wasn't there.
Showed me vehicles. Yeah, no, it's the same lady. Didn't recognize me.
Nobody came up to me. I had to go up to them. Like, they were all
Oh.
standing outside and saw me, and I walked by them like twice, and nobody came up to me, so I went over there and I was like, "Hi, do you guys work here?" And then that's when he came out and helped me. So
I think he could tell I was a college student and that like maybe my parents had money or something, because he was just like, especially when I said, "Oh, I'd have to talk to my parents," he was like, "Okay, well, talk to your folks." He was taking my folks into account more than he was me.
The reason they've got not very many lower-end cars is because the mechanics take the cars in for trade-ins. They rate them from a scale of 1 to 10, and then anything from 8 to 10, they'll keep on the lot and they'll fix whatever they need to. Everything else is sold to auction.
He wasn't like talking to me as like, "Oh, someone who's interested in a car." It was, "Oh, this girl wants to look at shiny things."
They were firing off questions at this nice higher end dealership, and then when I came to Freeway Auto Sales, it was more just two people sitting at a desk like, "Yeah, like there's cars out there."
These guys were like, first of all, they're presenting themselves to somebody who obviously seems like they think that they have the American dream going on. Like, we're going to sell you this dream car, right? We're going to put you in a vehicle that you really love. And these guys are just like,
Yeah, they don't give a shit.
they don't, yeah, it's like nothing to them. They don't give a shit about, you know, they just don't. And it seems like they kind of don't give a shit about themselves and their own dream either, you know? Like, they're already done. They already know, like, they're not, nothing's going on for them. That's what they're going to do for the rest of their life. The American dream.
You were walking through with the phone. It's like,
That was in hindsight, that was a poor decision. Hey, where's Larry at?
I don't know. I saw her like lurking between the trucks.